for the undergraduate nursing pathways program. But I have three other really important people here, and I will let them introduce themselves. I will start with our counterpart from Prairie State, and then I will bring back our GSU colleagues, because one thing that hasn't been announced to you guys yet, but I am transitioning to a new position at Governor State. So Lisa and Novella, and they'll reintroduce themselves. You guys saw them at Roar. We'll be helping you guys with this nursing pathways. And then when we hire a replacement, you'll have one more person to follow you. So let's start with introductions.
So my name is Oshunda Williams. I'm the manager of advising at Prairie State College. Excited to be here to share some information with you about the Prairie State College side of your pathway, and it's wonderful to see you all.
Lisa or Novella?
Novella.
Novella.
Hi, I'm Novella Coleman. So I'm the academic advisor for the general study students, and you all have already met me during the Roar orientation. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. And then Lisa is driving this bus here.
Hi all. If you recall from orientation and those lovely videos, I'm Lisa Hellman. I'm the director of the Undergraduate Academic Advising Center, and we're glad you guys are with us today.
Right. So we'll start the presentation here. Already went too fast. So first things first is the agenda tonight. And I kind of went over that, but just in deeper detail. So really going into what is nursing pathways, and how this program is, and then reminding you guys on these benchmarks. We talked about these benchmarks at orientation, and I want to hit them again. We are right now kind of at midterms. Some of your professors are letting us know how your midterms are going, midterm grades, midterm flags or concerns they might have. So we will go over the benchmarks, reminding you guys what you need to do to stay eligible for this program. And then we'll be going into the deeper details of the Prairie State admissions requirements. So we'll be going back and forth a little bit about, how, what it is for Prairie State and how it correlates with GSU, talking about admissions, selection, the enrollment process, and then next year you'll have to actually apply. So that's what nursing intent form is, and then actually going to their orientation. And then finally, we end this presentation today with what are you guys going to be taking in spring? And so based off of you attending this presentation and you kind of green lighting this for us, Lisa will be registering you and Novella will be registering you for your spring classes at the end of the month. So nursing pathway program, and this is probably not new news to anyone, whoops, going back, is our partnership program with Prairie State College. So you are going to end up receiving both your associate's degree and bachelor's degree in nursing while you're in this pathway program. Additionally, the nursing pathway program gives you benefits of earning your both degrees. We take out this mystery. That's why this program is so lockstep and planned for 5 years. So you will follow our sequence of classes. So there is no question, am I taking the right thing for my nursing degree at Prairie State, or am I sure I'm going to get everything I need for my bachelor's degree? All that is planned out in this nursing pathway program. Between the two schools, there's theory and clinical experience, so you will be as successful as possible in your nursing career. So going back to the benchmarks, this slide should look pretty familiar from Roar, and this is really covering the information that you need to be mindful of for the next year and a half. So first things first, we need you to keep a 2.5 GPA or greater each semester. So even if you are rocking your English class and your statistics class that you're in or your human bio. But if you're letting something like Mastering College slide and you're not attending your Mastering College, or you are not, doing super well in some of your other classes this semester, you have to be mindful. You have to keep a 2.5 GPA or higher each semester for you to stay. Additionally, thinking about that English class that you're in right now, you have to pass that after this first semester with a grade of C or better. So if you are struggling, please, please, please reach out to our writing center. We have, tutoring available for your math. We have the writing center for your English class. So we have things in place for you to be successful. So take advantage of that. We're only halfway through this first semester. So, try to get that C or better. And keep your GPA up. After fall, for spring semester, we want you to pass math. So if math isn't going all right this semester, it's not great, but you can retake math in spring, but it needs to be done by the end of the spring semester. So make sure you pass math with the C or better by the end of spring. And then you will need to pass your anatomy and physiology, which is your biology 2200 and 2201 class and lab. And you will need to be through the Prairie State CNA class and be a registered CNA by the end of your fall semester of your second year. So again, the anatomy needs a C or better. And the last piece is being admitted to Prairie State. So that happens during your second year, during that spring semester. The conduct requirement, so as a nurse, criminal background checks happen. And so if you have any disciplinary or criminal infractions, it's important to know that you could get dismissed from this program. Additionally, we want you to adhere to ethical behavior that is found in both the GSU and Prairie State nursing programs. So your English class, just a reminder, the English class is your English 1000 class that you're in this semester, okay? Additionally, when we are talking about getting into this program is 2 degrees. So for you to be able to get into your bachelor's degree, you must have your associate's degree in nursing. So you must complete your associate's degree in nursing, and that would be at the end of the 4th year, passing NCLEX, so that's when you become a licensed nurse, and then you're fully admitted to the GSU program, and then you finish up that 5th year fully online and get your bachelor's degree. So hopefully those all sound familiar because we talked about those at ROAR. So when we talk about the selection process, and that's where everything we're doing in the first year and a half is so you are taking the essential courses that are made up for the admissions process and selection process. So there's some admissions requirements and some selection requirements, and we'll go over both here during this presentation. So admissions requirements, and I can always turn this back over, but you need to pass English, so placement in English. You need to have your math done. So we're not doing a math placement. We don't have placement here at GSU. So you need to pass your math class with a C or better. And that gets those 2 bullet points out of the way. And then anatomy and physiology. You're going to have it done in the last 5 years because you're doing it now. So that part of this is not going to be a problem. And then they talk about doing anatomy and micro can either be done during the program, but we really would like to try to get you done with those beforehand, and then the CNA. So admissions is just the bare bones, and I mean bare bones for them to even look at you. That is not how you are competitive. That's just how you can be looked at for this. So you may say, oh, I can pass English, math, and anatomy and a CNA, not a problem. The big thing is the selection criteria. So this is actually a screenshot you see on the screen of kind of the rubric they use to give you points, and we'll turn it over to talk about the points here in a second, but your grades turn into points. So the better grades you get, the more points you get. So it's important to realize there's certain classes that are more important than others because they directly correlate with your admission status and how to get into the program. So here is how points work. I think this is important to know because this is how college GPA also works. So these courses here are using the Prairie State numbers, and I will show you in the next slide how they correlate to GSU numbers, but your English 1000 that you're in right now is the same as their 101. So, and your first year seminar class is this humanities class down here. So you're in some classes right now for points. They're only 3 credit hour classes, and assuming you get an A, 3 credit hours times an A, which equals 4 points, gives you a total of 12. So 3 times 4 is 12. Say you get a C in English, you will only get 6 points because 3 times 2 is 6. So just be mindful, the better the grade you get, the more points that you're gonna get. So that hopefully that makes sense. And this is true on how they calculate your GPA as well at a university. So here is the breakdown. Prairie State course numbers here, GSU equivalents here. And when are you taking these classes? You know, we've talked about, you know, your English, you're doing this fall semester, first semester fall. Your FYS, you're taking first semester fall. Those are the 2 classes that are counting for points right now. But in the spring here that we're going to be signing you up for, you will be taking your speech class, your lifespan class, and assuming you pass human bio, your anatomy class. So 3 of your spring classes that you will be taking are 4 points. So we keep stacking the deck a little bit more every semester. So these are selection, and down here's your admission criteria. So we talked about you're doing math right now, your first year fall semester, and CNA will be done during your fall of next year, if not sooner. I do know some of you have talked to me in the past that you are a CNA, and if you need to make sure you stay on the registry, but if you are a CNA, that's one less thing you have to worry about. So I think this would be a good time to turn it over to my colleague at Prairie State, because this is the enrollment process and how she will have you get through her side of things.
Thank you, Stacy. The information that you need to know about applying to Prairie State College to be selected or to be considered for selective admissions to the nursing program here, you will put in an application to Prairie State College. That application is online. You will have transcripts sent to our school, that is official transcripts from high school and GSU and any other places where you have college credit. We can use unofficial to sort of give you an idea if things are done, but in order for you to graduate from our institution, official transcripts do need to be in. You'll meet with a health careers advisor who will talk to you about this same selection criteria, the grades, the courses, the HESI, et cetera. We'll go over them all. And then that advisor will give you the deadline dates to apply. You'll complete a FERPA waiver form. That form allows the folks at GSU and the folks at PSC to talk about your grades at either institution, both institutions. It really just says it's okay for a person like Stacy and a person like me to call each other or email each other and ask about information about your grades. You know, what was the GPA so I can put it in here? What was the grade in this class or that class so I can put it in there? Is the student going to repeat it? Are they enrolled for repeat? You know, we need clearance to talk about your record. And so that FERPA waiver form gives us that clearance. Enrollment services takes care of our registration piece for students in the nursing program. Typically an advisor would help you to register, but because this is a selective admissions program, there's a dedicated staff person to registering students for those lockstep classes that are the nursing program. Thank you.
Yep.
I don't know why I hit the arrow on my keyboard.
It's a habit. It's a habit. I get it.
There is a nursing intent form. That really is your application to the nursing program at Prairie State College. It is due by February 1st. It requires that your official high school transcripts or GED official proof of that completion is in at our records department, our registrar's office. It requires that you have placed into at least English 101. Oh, well, that's the highest level you can place into. It requires that you've placed into the first English class. It requires that you have placed into an intermediate algebra level course. But like Stacy said, as long as you complete the stats course on the GSU end, you have met that requirement for math. As long as you have done your English 1000, you have met that requirement for composition 1. Or you can complete, so you can place into or complete a math that is 090 or higher. And again, your GSU class will accomplish that. We would very much like for you to have your anatomy and physiology done within the last 5 years. If it is not, you are ineligible to apply. It has to be done, done within the last 5 years. You should be actively on the CNA registry with the state of Illinois by February 1st. Some students will be taking the CNA class at that time. If by February 1st you are not in the registry as an active CNA certified CNA nursing assistant, then you are not eligible to apply. So these 6 things must be done. Grades of C or higher are required for your English, for your math, for your anatomy, and then you must be in the registry. We do have a nursing orientation where students are asked to, after they have applied or completed that nursing intent form, which is our application, they are required to attend this orientation that kind of gives you the ins and outs. One more time, we like to talk to you early, often, repeatedly, so you're very clear on the selective admissions process. We give you an overview of the nursing program. During that orientation, you will find out more about the HESI A2 exam. There's a $40 fee for that. Applicants have to complete that exam. So you have to have applied on time. You have to have all of your criteria in on time. And then you will be invited to this orientation where we give you the information about HESI. That is when you take the HESI, after the application is in, after you have met the requirements to apply to the program. But the HESI exam does require for this program that you have a 76% or higher earned on that HESI. The content of the HESI, 4 key areas. Anatomy and Physiology 1 content will be on there. So it's very helpful that you are taking human biology and then that anatomy and physiology course, because that'll give you a lot of that content. There's some vocabulary on there. There's reading comprehension, and there's math. So 4 areas of the HESI. I think the HESI has other parts, medical terminology and things like that, but you are responsible for testing in these areas when you take the HESI A2 for the Prairie State College GSU Nursing Pathway Program. During that orientation, well, you have to sign up for the orientation. You will receive some correspondence from this side, from the Prairie State side, inviting you to attend that orientation. You have to sign up to attend your HESI exam. This is sort of repeated. HESI exam, 76% with reading, vocabulary, math, and the anatomy and physiology 1 has to have sort of a combined score of 76. You may only take it once per year. So if you don't love your score and you didn't apply, or you don't love your score and you didn't meet the 76, you can take it again the next year and shoot for a better score. Or you can leave your score because it's great, you just didn't get in because you didn't have anatomy done or you didn't make the CNA registry. Your score will be good for 2 years if you do not want to repeat it. If you love your score, if it's 80 something, maybe you want to keep it, I don't know. But if you feel that that is as good as it gets, you will leave your score the same for those 2 years. If you didn't get in the first year, you want to use that same score to apply the second year, you can do that. If you do end up repeating it though, we take your most recent score. So if you got an 80 the first time, you're thinking, I can get an 85, and you take it again and you get a 75, we take the most recent score. You could knock yourself out of the game. Now, odds are you won't, but who knows, you may know more, it may be a bad test day. So you have to decide if you want to repeat that test the next year and shoot for better, or if you want to go with what you already have, if it is a passing rate of 76 or higher. There are specific dates and orientation times, and appointment times for orientation. Again, you'll pay $40 for the HESI A2 exam. You'll pay that score to the cost to the testing center. And final selection will be made after everyone has done the testing. And we have some dates by which you must have the testing done. It depends, every year that set of dates is communicated to students at that nursing orientation when your A2 HESI has to be done. And then we'll be able to look at everyone's grades, scores. We'll be looking at everyone's successful completion of things. We'll be looking at everyone's exam score, and we should have the communication out to folks whether or not they've been accepted to the selective admission nursing program by May.
So I'm gonna hop back in because we've definitely talked about the classes now and that they're working, they count for points. We've talked about the HESI exam and that, you have to get a 76 or higher. But I bring this slide back is because it shows the grid here. It shows the actual, the thing we use or Prairie State uses to decide if you're in or you're not. So one of the important things to kind of know is that when it comes to the classes, and let me see if it's on my next slide. No, it's not. Okay. That these classes, when you add all these points up, if you got straight A's, this only adds up to 96 points total. Your HESI exam is an exam that is up to 100. So your HESI exam is worth more than all your classes combined. So even though having good grades in your classes is important, that HESI exam truly has the largest impact on if you're getting in or if you're not getting in. So what I love about the way GSU's nursing pathway program has worked, you guys are cohorted together, right? Every single student in this room should be taking the same classes. And so you should start seeing, even though we're virtual for the most part, or if you're seeing each other in some of your labs, you start getting to know people, start thinking about, study groups and stuff like that for this HESI exam. You guys have the advantage of knowing who your classmates are who are also in the same boat as you. At the community college, you might not know who's also trying to be a nurse unless you start asking around. If you're kind of quiet and you're kind of shy, you might not know. With this program, you're going to get a pretty good feel because you guys will start seeing each other's names over and over and over again in these same classes. The other thing that is important, because you're in nursing pathways, you will be getting 5 points of in-district. So even if your home community college, if you live at your parents' house, is Moraine Valley or Joliet Junior College or Kankakee Community College, being part of this nursing pathway is giving that's one of the perks of it, is that they'll give you the 5 points in district as well. So that also is a nice little perk to it, that you're going to get those extra 5 points. But grades are important. This exam is extremely important because it is worth more. So when we add these 96 credits and the 5 points in district and up to 100%, most people don't get 100%, but up to 100% on HESI, this all totals out to 201. So that gives you, HESI's half of that. So I can't really stress that piece enough, and that's why I'm jumping in right now, just so you kind of realize this isn't something that you need to worry about right now. But, making the connections now with your classmates and starting to make your friendships and study groups and know who you work well with now this first year. So come fall of next year, when you should be studying for this HESI, because you'll be taking it in early spring, that's the perk of this. So, yeah. And the one thing on here is once they decide who's in, who's not, Prairie State will let you know by certified mail who's in and who's not. If you are not in, then it's a conversation with us here at GSU, like maybe nursing's not for you. What other majors do we have on campus? Or do you want to buy some time and retry to get in next year. They only admit once a year. That's the other piece to this. Some of the other local community colleges in the area admit twice a year. Prairie State only admits once a year. So we are trying to catch as many points as possible and get you in the best shape as possible in this year and a half before you apply. So I think we both recapped this page here. So English 101 is the same as our English 1000. So pass that class. I've already made that happen because of our benchmarks. We're going to make you meet the math placement because of our math benchmark. We're going to make you meet the anatomy because of our benchmark. And same with the CNA because of the benchmark. It's the HESI exam that's all out on you to make sure you get that 76 or higher. And then just finding out if you get into the program that final year. So the way we have it built is as long as you keep on hitting our benchmarks and keep on getting the grades you need to do, hopefully, especially if you do really well in the HESI, you'll find yourself at Prairie State 2 years from now. So back to now, what do I need to be taking next semester? So these are the 4 classes that well, technically 5 because you sign up for the class and the lab here at GSU for anatomy. So these are the 5 classes you're going to be registering for the spring semester. Communication 1000 is your speech class. That class is needed for points. Your lifespan development out of psychology is needed for points. Anatomy and physiology 1 class and lab. So it's an admissions requirement and it's needed for points. And the last class here is Introduction to Psychology. Now, if you find yourself struggling in something this fall semester, you can swap out psych for the class you may want to repeat. So if math is not going well, stats is not going well, then you can pull out the psych and put in your stats. Or the other option is, because this is only worth 13 credit hours, this schedule here, you could also still keep the psych and be at 16 credit hours and repeat something that you're doing right now. So if first year seminar or the stats is not going well, you know, either you can swap out the psych or just add it and be at 16. So those conversations will happen with us here at GSU in the advising office if fall doesn't go well. If fall goes great, then here is your spring schedule. I have left a little bit of time for questions. We are actually moving through this very smoothly and fastly. So you can either throw them in the chat box or you could also feel free to turn on your video and mic and chat with us. Additionally, I think it would be good for Lisa to pop back in at some point just to kind of let you know how the registration is going to look for those 4 classes if you guys don't have questions, but I'll give it a minute. Okay. So CNA is actually a class that you sign up for at Prairie State. So it's worth 7 credit hours. So it's built into your fall semester of your sophomore year, or fall semester of your sophomore year. You'll be doing 7 credit hours at GSU and 7 credit hours at Prairie State. And so you'll take it like a class, pay for it like a class. And then at the end of that class, you're going to sit for the state exam. So you can actually be on the registry. You do not have to be a working CNA, but you have to be on the registry. Now, if you are already a CNA, you don't have to do the CNA class. And then that would be a good time to have a conversation with us because that 7 credit hours are kind of now free on your fall schedule. If you need to repeat something, maybe that's when you do it. If you said you want to maybe get a minor in something, we can mix in some classes there. We can get you a little bit of a head start. There's no way to actually make this program any faster, but you can do some things in the interim when you're not in the CNA class. So there's that. We are going to be recording this, or we are recording this session, so you can definitely come back and we can send it out so you can rewatch it. We also will be hitting you with this information early and often is the way that I try to do it. So it's not that you're going to only hear this once, you're going to hear this again and again and probably one more time. So we try to touch base with you guys at least once a semester. So this is the meat and the potatoes to get you started. So that's why we're chatting today. If you've already taken, you know, like speech, it looks like some people may have already taken speech at the community college. If you have a grade in it, great. So then you can definitely, you know, Prairie State will see that you have a grade in it from either them or another school. And then that factors into points. So as long as they are transferring it as their equate, as their speech, they'll give you those points. CNA. So yeah, CNA would be in fall of 21. You could take it earlier if you really wanted to, like if you wanted to, but then that's a conversation with us here at GSU and also kind of at Prairie State. Like if you wanted to start it in the summer, because you maybe want to start working as a CNA as early as possible, we would need to readjust your schedule accordingly. If it's something you really desire, tell us, you know, but it's not something you have to do by any means. Taking summer classes is absolutely an option, but because this program is so lockstep, there's no need to take summer school. You take summer school if you want to, you know, be in the honors program, and that's going to take you a few more credits to graduate, or if you want to get a minor, if you need to retake something, if your grades aren't okay. So summer would work well for that. CNA can be done outside of a school setting, but most people get it done at either a local community college. I do know of some places, more like for-profit places, that you can become a CNA, but you know, what's nice is that if you take it with a college, you're going to get college credit, and that's going to count towards the 120 hours you need for your bachelor's degree.
I would also say that it's very important to make sure that if you take it outside of a school setting, you are able to sit for the state board at the end of that time and you can go on the registry. I can't imagine there are many places out there that do not allow you to, but you do want to do your due diligence and make sure that you are a state board, Illinois State Board certified nursing assistant by the time the deadline date comes.
Right. And the big thing is knowing accreditation, right? So these are terms, if you're not familiar with higher education, programs are accredited. So like Prairie State's CNA program is an accredited program. Their nursing program is an accredited program. Ours is an accredited program. So, you know, many of the local community colleges have these CNA programs. And again, they are accredited. There are some places that will do things, like I said, for-profit schools and stuff like that. You just need to make sure that if you're going to do them that way, which I would just avoid doing it that way, but if you chose to do it that way, that the money you spend doing it is worth it. So, because you just need to be on there. So yeah, so it looks like somebody has done a CNA with KCC. You wouldn't need to check with KCC. They may have given you college level credit for the CNA, or if it was, sometimes I've seen a lot of high schools now doing CNA. So you may have ended up with high school credit and not college credit, but if you're still on the registry, that's good. Now, the one thing I have noticed with some students who did CNA back in high school and they're not working as a CNA, by the time they get to apply, they're falling off the registry. Now, Kim, who is the CNA coordinator, actually worked with a current sophomore who's in that predicament. And so she needed to take some like continuing education classes, and she got her aligned with that. So then she could re-up her registry and re-up her certification. So she was all set. So if you find yourself in that unique situation where you are CNA now, but you're not working, you can definitely know that you can get back on the registry if for some reason you have fallen off. you take the CNA class in the fall of your sophomore year. So these things are important to know, because even though we were in the middle of fall this year and we're talking about a class that starts August of next year, registration for that class for fall is going to happen in the middle of spring. So we're only talking, 5 months from now or so that we are going to be getting registered for all your summer and fall classes. If you choose summer, you do not need to do summer, but your fall classes. So that's why we talk about this early, so that way you're just kind of aware of the situation. These were great questions. That chat just blew up. I liked it.
Stacy, do you want me to talk about registration at this point for spring?
I think we are probably at a good spot for that, and we'll, if anyone still has questions while you're talking, throw them in the chat. We'll catch them before we end. Yeah, sounds great.
So for all of you who are in the Nursing Pathways program, to get you registered for your spring classes, which we have shown you, we will be sending you a grid to choose. Remember the grids from orientation? Where you choose this lab or this lab, but your classes are pretty much selected for you. We will be emailing you that grid. You will need to email us back with what classes, so what lab section you want to register for. Let us know if there are any problems, like you've already had communications. You've already had your speech class. We'll work with you to find you another class, those kind of things. So we'll work with you via email to those things. You can either email Novella or I, but I will be sending out the email to you with the grids of what classes to choose. So that's why it's important to attend. If you have a friend who hasn't attended, tell them to get in contact with us so we know. We'll also reach out to all the people who are in the nursing pathways to say, you got to watch the video, then contact us after watching the video. Any questions about that? Any other questions? Pop them in the chat.
Yeah, the newest one that popped in was talking about recommending summer classes. The way that Nursing Pathway is built, there is no need for summer classes as long as you're following the sequence. The need for summer classes comes in with I didn't pass something, or I really want to get a minor in psychology, or I really want to be part of the honors program, which requires you to do some extra coursework. Whatever the case is, then that may lead you to needing some summer classes. But for the most part, the only semester that you should have to take a summer class, like have to, would be your very, very, very final semester with GSU, that last full year online. Because you do full-time fall, full-time spring, and your final class, your very last summer before your BSN. So that's the only time. So total credit hours for spring, we're looking at, even though you're registering for what will look like 5 classes, it's going to be 13 credit hours. So one of the important things about Nursing Pathway is we have set this up so you guys remain full-time each semester. Also, if you're going to end up living on campus at GSU while you're attending Prairie State, that's going to be important to keep in mind to talk to us in advising here. So we can make sure you're doing at least one class at GSU every year. The one thing with Nursing Pathway, especially if you're taking advantage of GSU housing, is GSU's financial aid gives you more money. And so with that being the case, if you're not taking any classes at GSU, your financial aid would be done through Prairie State. So if you're living at GSU housing, it's going to be important to communicate that with Lisa Novella, the next Nursing Pathways advisor, to make sure that you are taking at least one class at GSU every semester, so your GSU financial aid can help pay for your housing and your Prairie State classes and your GSU classes. There's more deep details on how that process works, but I threw enough at you today that we are not going to go into those, but there's just some paperwork that's got to get done. And we will be doing that conversation in the spring, or you guys will be doing that conversation in the spring when it's going to be time to register actually for your fall classes. So you'll be getting admitted at Prairie State. You're going to be getting registered for GSU classes, the CNA class over there. Those things are all going to be the conversation we have next time when we convene as a group. Anything else? All right. Well, I said an hour, and so looks like I'm going to be giving you an extra 15 minutes of your life back. So thank you for everyone for joining us, and feel free to exit if you feel like there's something you want to chat about. You're welcome to stay. We'll stay an extra few minutes, but if not, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and good luck with midterms. Finish out strong with these fall classes, and Lisa Novella will be in contact so you guys can get signed up for spring.
I'll stay on for a moment, Novella, if you have a moment.
I do.
Okay, awesome. Elizabeth still has questions. Yes, please stay on, Elizabeth. What questions